ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Trask Told You. My name is Trask Snell, your host. I'm here to talk about a few little things. Green Lantern, some box office if we have time, but primarily Green Lantern, another DCU rumor as far as who a director is, Challenger's director, Luca. Can I ever say his name right? I feel like I always screw up the last name, and someone else says, like, oh, I think I got it now. But, what is it? Luca Guadagnino, big time director, Challengers, Queer coming out. What is it? Bones and all, lots of good stuff. But yes, Trask told you, I told you to be back with an episode in the near future. And I think this has enough DC, just Travis related things to talk about. I'll probably get the boys' opinions on a newscast. But yeah, and if you're watching live, it is a late one. But just don't have time the next few weeks here. Because yeah, I am in the middle of, I'll soon be moving. So next little while, I don't think there'll be Travis for the rest of September. Those will probably be it right now. And you can go back to last Travis to talk about the stats of the show, what I'll be doing. But yeah, so lots of stuff this week. Beetlejuice Rings of Power. We're filming lots. You can check out, we announced on Twitter, Facebook patrons. I will be making a post soon because I want to include some behind the scenes stuff of our third film we're doing right now. But yeah, we won an award for Adrenochrome. Adrenochrome has won the best horror film in the New York Independent Cinema Awards. Not made up, not just some random festival or anything like that. An actual official on film freeway. It literally has which I'll be looking for more now because it helps. It's IMDb qualified. So if you've ever clicked on a film and you see like the awards nominated for, awards won, we can do that. So in the next little bit here, I need to make an IMDb page for myself and the film and the boys. I am waiting a little bit because I got this long hair that I'm hopefully in extra life you guys get rid of. I would like my picture not to be that, maybe some short hair, but then I also think about keeping my head shaven for a little while I get the twins, just to make it easy. So I really don't know. That's both my natural looks. Maybe I'll just have to find something. I don't want something too young though, because I got some crow's feet now. A little girthier nowadays. So something a bit more realistic. But yeah, that's been tons of fun. Thank you to everybody on Discord, Twitter. I hope I respond to you. If not, just appreciate the love. It's very cool. We'll talk about it again. We talk about a little bit bread and butter, but we'll talk about it again in the future. Because yeah, I don't know, second festival we even submitted to, and we won, and I'm pretty happy about. I both times thought, okay, we're gonna submit to some, but it's probably gonna take a little longer to get into one. And it's not me trying to be arrogant or cocky, because just because we got in a festival won something doesn't mean, oh yeah, we're off to the big time, stuff like that. Because some people, they don't think understanding, especially more like the family Facebook route of like, oh, this means great success. Yeah, maybe, but we're in the stage of, we're just building a resume right now. Like Adrenochrome, we have no thoughts of, oh, this is going to be picked up by someone and distribute. No, it's the idea, hey, it's getting out there. We're building buzz for it and building just even accolades under us, right? But even then, I thought it might be a little longer. And the first one we submitted to, we got in. Didn't win on that one, great films there, so something else won there. But still, we got nominated or got selected. And you get, like, we've talked about the little laurels when it's like, so-and-so festival selection. So it's like, that's always nice to have on poster. And then the second one we got into, we won. So I'm pretty happy. And, New York's nice little bigger market there. So yeah, it's odd now because now there'll be ones where, you'll get denied or you'll get into not win again. But kind of thought for a while it would be, oh, thank you, William Williams here in the chat. Yeah, it's a late night record. Didn't even announce it ahead of time to anybody that we're doing this. I said, oh, I got time to record. But yeah, I didn't expect us to get into a festival, and I didn't expect us to win anything in the near future. Thought it might be a little longer. So it's nice to kind of have that weight off the shoulder. Didn't think we might not win anything at all. So it's nice to have that weight off the shoulder. But yeah, we're going to talk about a little DC news. As Travis told you, they said this will be the only one for September. And then there's lots of stuff. Beetlejuice is coming out tomorrow. We will review that. There will be Rings of Power, Agatha Star, and Penguin. It's going to be a busy, busy month. So, there you go, William. I'll have to check it out after. Everyone go check out William at the Sci-Fi Center. Bump into him here at Vodka Stream. Tried to get on the Vodka Stream this week. I was in the backstage green room, and my Wi-Fi went out because I haven't finished the episode, but they're having a good debate. And I don't think I'm going to do this here because I think I want to talk to you about the boys, but they're having a good debate between F4, Superman, and Jurassic World Rebirth, which one moves. And there's reasons for it not moving, reason for why it should move, lots of good stuff. But yeah, it's an interesting, next year's going to be very interesting. I can't wait. Hopefully we'll be back for that time. But yeah, so this news, when the Brolin, I think the Brolin thing came out yesterday. Yeah, I think it came out yesterday, and then more is added on to it. So the Brolin thing comes from 3 people, and then the other ones come from another person that also reported that, and someone backed it up. So they are still more of the C, B tier stuff, but at the same time, hey, I know, like talking about Vlog Stream, I know Dave, lots of people, and you can feel however you want, right? The man has me blocked on Twitter because I made a joke about Patriots cheating, and that was it. Because I followed the Schmodown lots and talked with those people, but made some joke about patrons tweeted or cheating, and then I got blocked, which is fine because it's just Snyder. But I put him more on the B tier because he's had a string of getting things right, and he's not with any publication, so he feels he has to do some bigger stories, maybe not to check with people. Because even one rumor or one scooper said, hey, I was told about this Brolin news, but I was told like on no certainty, like, don't fucking say this at all. So then other people have started to say it. So that's where we've heard this for a while, right? That they're doing Lanterns. It's an HBO type, it's HBO type True Detective inspired buddy cop, but I don't think of True Detective as a buddy cop. It's a cop. I don't want to say procedural either, but I would never say buddy cop, where I feel like Green Lantern will at least have a buddy cop element, be a bit more comedic. But that's the idea, right? A lethal weapon, an old guard person as Hal Jordan, and then a new guard with Jon Stewart, right? Now, it seems like with all the actors we've gotten, they're going for a above 50 sort of route, which is fine with me. I think there's some people that have been disappointed you're not getting young Hal, and I do understand that. Hal's my favorite Green Lantern, but I just kind of, I don't know, I can't say grew up on him, because I did in a sense that those comics were my favorite when I was reading them, at least of Hal, but then I grew up with Jon Stewart in the animated show. So they're pretty neck and neck, but I just lean to Hal a bit because I've read more of those comic books, and I'm not like a savant when it comes to DC and Green Lantern stuff. So I'm just saying my personal preference, but I still like Jon Stewart, and I understand why he will probably be more the main character, the person that gets on the Justice League team, right? So Arn thinks they're all a good choice. And we'll talk about that. So the first rumor was it's been offered to Brolin. Now, everyone always waits for James Gunn to shoot it down, whatnot. That hasn't happened yet. Who knows? Could just come out tomorrow and say, hey, no, this is true. But that's been the first report, that Josh Brolin. And I'm going to talk about them individually, of my thoughts and pros and cons and whatnot. And then it was like, well, if he turns it down, which who knows what that means. Someone could be, kind of negotiating the press. This could already have been turned down. It could be another name that we have not heard at all, right? But if he turns it down, well, Ewan McGregor and Matthew McConaughey are waiting in the wings here. Like I said, the director rumor we'll talk about in a bit, because I got really excited, still excited, but not as excited once I heard the product. And funny enough, with William in the chat, me and him share that sentiment of he's read way more comics than me, but as far as some of the characters that James Gunn wants to focus on, I go, not so much. Like when I got a big breakdown of the Justice Society that they're kind of doing in this, and I talked to Chris and Clay and Brent, it's like, oh, that's not really what I want, like the Justice League to potentially be for me, especially because same thing with the Hal thing. I would have loved to have a more proper Hal, like as a main character, and then to hand it off to John. Because even though these are bigger actors, all the pitches we've heard is, hey, they are the gravitas to get you to the project, but it's really to raise up Jon Stewart, right? I wish maybe he was a bit more younger as well, so maybe you could have them both. But it's fine. You got to do a certain choice, right? So, oh, sorry, that neck crack was bugging me. So, Josh Brolin, let's start there. If he has the first offer, right? What I will say about him and all three of these are all great actors. So the good thing is, for me, that's always a good, okay, I like their work and I like them, so we're off to the races, right? It's not like, for me, I can't even say that about like a Jared Leto, because he was a good actor. I actually was maybe excited about for Joker, and I didn't end up liking that, right? So, and yes, William says, yeah, I'm feeling JLI, so I'm waiting and seeing. And I'm with you where I've not read all those. I've read them tangentially, but I've not. It's kind of like the same way of like this rumor of what Luke is going to be directing. Like Sergeant Rock, it's like, that's such an interesting director, but that's who we're going with. And I had someone in our Discord, the G1, say, oh, well, why such a niche character? It's like, well, it was Mike. It's like, well, that's James Gunn's thing, right? So we'll get to that point in a second. But all of them are good actors, and I would like to see their takes. They are, older, and they are maybe, especially Brolin, on the gruffy side, especially think of like Dune as of late, right? And even Llewellyn Moss is, I'd say, his character at least got him his comeback. That's a gruff character. He can do comedy. And not that Hal has to be comedy, but I mean, like, Hal still is, to me, at times, or majority of the times. There's times where he's dark, very dark, right? But majority of times he's the quarterback, cocky, lighthearted, kind of. Everyone has said this before. I'm not for it anymore that they made the Tom Cruise as Maverick comparison, right? And before many people be like, well, the perfect cast right there. If they didn't do Top Gun 2, then maybe I would have been down to see Tom Cruise, but now it's too close. They're doing Top Gun 3, the roles are similar, even with the Glenn Powell. It's like all that crew, that's too samey. You kind of water your own market there, right? So for me, Brolin, good actor. I think he could do certain Hal-isms, but I don't jump to him in this role. And there's already the two other names that we got I do prefer. And it's funny because we were talking about this in Discord a couple weeks ago where Patreon Clay, he loves Brolin. And I think it's when I can't remember the director's name, it's something Gregor, but the guy that did Barbarian, he's doing a movie called Weapons, right? And Pedro was the main star. He had to drop out for all these obvious movies, right? And then he replaced him with Brolin. And I was disappointed, and Clay said, I like Brolin for this, and this. And I just felt like, his counter to me was because I was saying I feel just Pedro is a more versatile actor, right? Brolin can be versatile. I think he's more personal in his real life. But those aren't just the type of roles he does. Like, look at something, it's not like comedic because he's an asshole, but something like Milk is one of my favorite roles that he's done. Even when he did George W. Bush, there's some comedy there. So I think he can do it. It's just the natural inclination is to go, well, we know the type of guy he's gonna play, and I suggested, like, could this be in the canon after A Blackest Night, a Sinestro War, where we see Hal Jordan has gone through some shit, and maybe he's not the kind of lovable, cocky guy you love to hate sort of way, right? So I could see that being, and all these, along with being good actors, are big names. So I feel like they bring in, for different reasons, all of them bring in a set of eyes to the product. So again, if Brolin gets it, for me, it's like, okay, fine. I'm on a wait and see, but that's not an inspiring one. I think the other reason why it's not like an inspiring choice is, well, it's funny you just brought this up here about the job. Like, the reason Josh Brolin is Jonah Hex, obviously he's not Jonah Hex anymore because that was a long time ago, but he's done Cable, he's done Thanos, he's done Jonah Hex. Some people count his role in Men in Black because that is technically a comic book movie. For me, that's the thing where I was like, oh, okay, even like Ewan to an extent, and Matthew is like, like Ewan was just Black Mask not too long ago, and Matthew's never done it. I guess he played Cowboy Pool and Deadpool and Wolverine, but that doesn't count, right? But even with Matthew, it feels weird to be like, well, we're making something like True Detective. Oh, and we got the guy in True Detective. You go, okay, like that's kind of too similar. Like you might get too many of those routes. I'm not saying he's going to play a character like he did in True Detective where he's shooting up coke and running through the streets. No, not that. But it's just kind of odd to get that, right? And Ewan, again, we just got Black Mask. So I was waiting for a maybe not exciting, but more fresher name to come out where it's like, okay, let's see this new actor, fresh Marvel, fresh DC. And I don't mind James Gunn reusing actors, but I think it's more like Frank Grillo, or like, okay, he was Crossbones here and now he's Rick Flag Sr. Yeah, I'm fine, even though they're kind of similar characters. Even Nathan Gardner, as Nathan Gardner, right? Yeah, Guy Gardner. I'm putting their names together. Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner. It's like, okay, that I feel like it's gonna be a different type of character, even though it could be similar to, what's his name, the character he played in Guardians 3, because he was kind of a dick, right? But for me, all these names were all good, so that's like a good, thumbs up. They're all names. They're giving Hal at least a serious actor as well. So even if Hal's not the main character, it's like, okay, you're getting a bigger actor for this role, which I appreciated. We've heard some sort of rumors that maybe there was a Justice League that was together and broke up, and we're seeing the remnants of it being put back together. That makes sense why you're getting older ones. So if I have to rank them, because I've seen lots of support, I think I've seen most support for Ewan, which same thing. If I'm just going off of, it depends what Hal, right? And now I go back and go, okay, if it is someone with a bit more gruff, that changes things. If it's just the pure comic book Hal, then I lead towards Matthew because I feel like Matthew's the best at playing that type of role. The cocky quarterback, lovable, the guy, all the guys hate him, all the girls want to be with him, that sort of routine, right? Who eventually has hope and will and fights a good fight, right? I will say that Ewan probably would look the best with the domino mask. I can just see that on his head. So that's something. Job says, isn't Brolin a very short guy too? To me, that doesn't matter. It's like, look at what we learned with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like the height, height, hair color for the most part, that doesn't really matter too much for me. It's like, okay, as long as he's good in the role, he's good. Aaron says, I don't mind the JLA lineup if Batman and Superman are in the team. I think they will be. It's just, do you like a lot of kind of more potential goofy characters, right? Because I do think James Gunn will direct that. And I do think they're essential. And if they're in there, I think you'll at least have, I would say you got Batman, Superman, Hawkgirl, and Stewart's Green Lantern. I'd say it would be those four. I think those ones would make it. I'm not sure who else from the Superman movie. I don't know if Supergirl would be. I don't think you need two super people on there. But I think those four are safe to be in there. And that's fine. It's just more the general DCU layout or like a Sergeant Rock. It's like maybe wait a little bit till we get there. Same thing like Authority. We'll see how that goes, but that's fine. That's what James Gunn wants to do, and I'm down to sit back and see how it goes, right? As long as he doesn't fuck with the Batman, I'll let him see how it goes, Give me my Batman 2, give me Batman Part 3, and call it day, and then I'm happy. Then I'll never judge you, really. I'll be like, hey, do whatever. If I don't get the trilogy, oof. But yeah, so for me, it's like a Matthew McConaughey, Ewan McGregor, Josh Brolin, like them all. I think, yeah, Josh Brolin is very much at the bottom of that list. But again, I don't know what type of Hal they're going for. I don't know. I'm not saying Josh Brolin has to audition, but just the same thing of like, hey, we want this vibe for the character. Do you think you do that? And he can go X, Y, and Z, Y. Yes and no, it's good, right? So for me, that's something where I'm down to see it all. There's no one bad on this list, and that's a good step. And it's bringing a bigger name because we don't really have that right now. Like Corn Sweat is, a newer name. Millie Alcock had House of Dragon, but she's still like an unproven name. If you don't watch House of Dragon, you don't know who she is. And then we don't have really anybody else cast, right? Like even like Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, sure he's a name, but he's not like, oh shit, like McConaughey is a name, Academy Award winner. Ewan McGregor is a name, Obi-Wan. Josh Brolin, Thanos, many other things is a name. So that's the first really like bigger tier actor, and that makes sense if Jon Stewart's going to be a newer actor, right? So we'll see. I like them all. I think they're good choices. I can see why people might be leaning towards Ewan, and I love Ewan. Ewan, I don't know if I could say he's one of my favorite actors, but I feel like I want to say that because he is a guy that will make me just like watch something he's in, even if it's dog shit. I love his Obi-Wan. The show, good parts, bad parts, but what you gonna do? You can, we got what we got. Yeah, at least he was great in it. Unfortunately, the show was a little lackluster, but they're definitely not names I thought were going to be happening because I also didn't think they'd be going this old. They're clearly going past 50. I thought it would be more the 40-ish range, and then the Jon Stewart role be like a mid-20s to early 30s. That's what I thought they'd be doing, but clearly that's why I think they have a storyline going forward in the show, in the universe, why it'd be better for the Green Lantern to be older and more experienced. Not just because he's a trainer, I just feel like for multiple reasons. So, I'm not sure. Let me know what you think is your favorite. None of them are ones I'd be disappointed in. There's some that I think Brolin for me is just the most like, that's fine. McConaughey, pop in the comic book cherry kind of technically, right? So that makes sense. And Ewan, sure. Ewan for me is just like the almost oddest fit. I just was not really expecting coming at all, But let's take an ad break and we'll be right back. Speaking of odd breaks. All right, let's pull this article up because Snyder put this out and then someone backed it up. But Luca Guadagnino, I think, hopefully. No one probably butchering it, but guy that did Call Me By Your Name, Bones and All, Queer is coming out, He did Challengers, lots of great stuff. Even though they Call Me by Your Name I didn't love. I think one of our most popular YouTube videos is me talking about how overrated that movie is. Not great in my opinion, but a well-made movie. This is a guy who makes very different things, very sexual things, very, very, very emphasize on very character heavy stories, right? Especially Bones All Channel. I actually think they are all the most recent ones. Is there anything I'm missing that he's done that I thought was like great here? But anyway, so there's rumor that he's in talks for a DC project, and the Nexus Point, who's not as high as Jeff, but they've been breaking some stuff recently, came out and said that it is it's Sergeant Rock, which I'll pull up a whole IMDb on him because I'm not a connoisseur on Sergeant Rock. A Suspiria, I've never watched that remake. A Bigger Splash, I want to watch. I have that on my watch list right now on the Letterboxd. So no, I think I've seen the major ones here. But Sergeant Rock, let's go for DC here. Let's see. Job says, who is replacing Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman? I don't think anyone currently. I don't think there's no rush. You could get her on the Justice League, but I think there's maybe some wait because I think, people can debate whatever they feel about Gal Gadot as an actor or actress, whatever you want to say. But I also just feel like people love her as Wonder Woman, so it's a harder replacement to do. And I think you can wait, even if you want, like, for some reason, I don't think you should do it this way. But if it's like, hey, we need 3 female characters on the Justice League, well, there's tons of that. You could put fucking Black Canary on there. You could throw Batgirl on there. You could throw, oh God, who's some other members now? I'm trying to rack my brain of female Justice League members. Geez, someone hit me in the chat with one. But there's many DC characters. Zatanna. You can throw Zatanna there you want. Not that she probably would, but I'm just saying you can kind of put whoever you want. Excuse me. So I was really excited. This went from 2 to 1. Never heard of the character, but Lucas Challengers, so I'm intrigued. That's where I paused, right? Because so I've loved to like all his movies that I've seen, other than Call Me by Your Name, which I still appreciate as a good movie. Loved Bones All. Very, very deep story, very traumatizing story at times. Challengers was great. I don't know if I loved it as much as everyone else, but still would consider it great. Like a 4 to 5 out of 5, 9.5 out of 10, somewhere around there. And then what was the other one? I know I've just listed them off like a bunch of times, and somehow I still forget them. But either way, I was very excited by this news at first when Jeff just reported it. Like, okay, because to me, this continued that trend of Mangled. The Supergirl guy is a good director, but still wasn't like super exciting, right? But Mangled, Gunn, I think there's another director in there. I guess Machete I'm excited by still. It was a crop of different type of names and different type of feels, right? Luca is the most different. That's something where I wouldn't think is possible of that guy doing the types of movies he does, which are usually always Oscar bait. Whether you like that term or not, they are, which is fine. He gets lots of love there, and therefore that specific audience, right? And there are a lot of films that I don't think, other than Challengers now, were for a lot of the mainstream audience. I think Challengers had a lot to do with Zendaya. I think the world is, it's funny that there's all these studies about, young audiences don't want lots of sex in their books or sex in their movies. Maybe that's true, but I think the idea of a lot of these, literature novels taken off in the past couple of years, like very female focused love stories or even sex stories. The fact that it was Zendaya with 2 guys, I think that sold like what's this, right? But even then, it wasn't a huge movie. It was just a big movie. Either way, all that stuff's like, this is the risks I want to see. These are the type of directors where it's like, Marvel's not going to do this. And I'm fine with that. They got their machine process. They know what they're doing. They will veer out the outside lines. As I've said before, they are a restaurant who brings in different chefs. They have the same menu, but sometimes these chefs use some different flavors, some different style of cooking, some different sauces. But you still got to make this meal. We're still like, you can't get hired at, an Italian restaurant and start making Mexican food or East Indian food. You need to make Italian food. But you should still let the cooks, maybe do a little thing specific to them if they think it can make it better, right? Maybe the odd time you do do whatever you want weekend, but sometimes that doesn't always go well. So for me, bringing in this guy, Luca, that's like okay, perfect. Do things that the MCU can't do or they don't want to do, right? Like very experimental, very different, very bold type of movies. To me, like a Joker, like the Batman that stand out, whether you like them or hate them, and I get it. People, oh, Joker's not a comic book movie. I know, Brent, you're one of those if you're listening. But you can't say, and I think Brent would even admit this, you can't say it's not unique or different, right? It has its own time, and that's why people can like it or not like it. But I think that's how comic movies, I know MCU's trying to get back to a certain way and do this and that, but I still think that the way they're going to have to be different or survive is to be different, is to be like a Joker or the Batman, have a very different set of skills and tones that people will be excited to come watch and not just another comic movie. Because I think a lot of these movies that bombed, the Marvels, Shazams, Aquaman, in a sense, they became a bit more, okay, just another one, and you don't want to be that. If it is that, then you got to do what Marvel's talked about and spreading them out. But so I was very excited, but then the second rumor to this, which Snyder didn't put this out there, but a different scooper said, well, it's supposedly Sergeant Rock. For me, that falls that niche James Gunn category of all right, and he's Sergeant Franklin John Rock. The character is a World War II soldier who served as an infantry non-commissioned officer. So I've heard this before. Excuse me. I've heard this before because I feel like other directors, or there's been rumblings of like a Sergeant Rock at DC, and it's always died for me. Good reasons. For what DC could be using DC Studios for, the money, the budget, the time, especially with this director, this doesn't excite me. Now, if it's for some reason like a Blade situation where he came in and said, I got a pitch for Sergeant Rock, I really want to do this, I still trust him as a director to make it different. So it's still exciting to have him on board. If you were to say, hey, Sergeant Rock movie's happening as this guy, okay, maybe I want him to do other things, but if this is what he's passionate about and they want him on, then sure, let's see it. Let's see what he's got. I thought it was going to be something like a Green Arrow, Black Canary, or maybe even like a twisted version of like a Gotham City Sirens, where you could get some actual like a Harley Ivy relationship. Like I was hoping, man, he's going to do like a two-hander, and it's going to be not a rom-com, but a romantic, a romedy, a romantic drama, and then with some comedy dashed in there. I was very excited. Like there's so many DC's filled with characters that haven't been adapted or could use a new adaptation. Because I think you could take a popular character like Joker, give it to Luca, and he's going to do something you've never seen before, you've never experienced before, right? So I was very excited all this. Sergeant Rock, World War II movie, because I'm just, in general, I've said this before, I think I said like Hacksaw Ridge is going to be like the last New World War or just war movie I've watched, because unless it's something more futuristic and sci-fi, I'm just kind of done with them. I feel like I've just seen even Hacksaw Ridge, which was a very good movie. I feel like people talked about it. Maybe 1917 was the last one I really saw because the one take gimmick. But I feel like every time people are like, oh, this is the best. And I go, yeah, it's good. But it doesn't like reinvent the wheel like people say it does, right? So, I'm of two minds. If he can do a comic movie, great. I'd love to see the challenge. And I think that is James Gunn committing to a very different style. And that's putting your money where your mouth is, where we want directors to have their visions. And I think it's a good get. And maybe he's just going to big paycheck so he can make more of these, more smaller budget, sexy movies. But hey, that's what you got to do as a director, right? And that's completely fine. So yeah, that's all I have to say there. Quickly, I wanted to do this and talk about the winners and losers of the box office of this year, because it's been weird. I meant to multiple times do, and I'm glad I didn't, meant to multiple times do a Trash Told You. It was around May or June when all the stuff was kind of not doing well, right? There was things coming up under expectations, tracking would come out a certain number, and that would drop down, and the second weekends would be awful. They'd be being rushed to streaming and VOD. But now, that's just in the May and June months. July and August have been very big and blowing expectations. Now, I'm sure many studios are maybe being a bit more delicate with their tracking numbers nowadays because they've seen that and COVID and strikes and everything. But still, even things like worldwide, it's not supposed to open that big, like 35 million. But Beetlejuice having 100 and I think it was like anywhere. What was it? I have it in the Discord here. because I think you shared it there, S Bubs, Mr. Man in the Chair. If you are listening right now, we're gonna go check out the gimmick. Check out, I guess I don't promote too. Go down below for everything you need to know. Our gimmick, our wrestling monthly shows back. Head over to Patreon, lots of stuff popping off there. Soon Fantastic Four retros starting. Get every episode ad free, early exclusive. Things like our movies, separate spin-off shows. That's because of each and every one of you listening and subscribing, because we are an independent content creators. There's 4 of us, so we desperately need your help to push along, and we very much thank you for all that. 110. To me, Beetlejuice opening at like 6. Now, I don't know the budget of it, right? But just a barometer. Yeah, and who would have thought Inside Out 1.6 billion? We'll get there. I'm going to go from May to August very quickly. Not a big breakdown because it is getting later here. So, but Beetlejuice, to me, 60 million, that would have sounded like, okay, that's a really good opening for Beetlejuice. That sounds about right. 110, I know we've talked about this on newscast, but it's like, for me, I don't really understand what it is. It's a combination, I guess, of maybe people love Beetlejuice more than I thought. Check out our Beetlejuice retro. We reviewed it last week. It was tons of fun. Maybe like Beetlejuice more. Maybe it's just the type of different horror movie too. It's like a more horror family movie. You got Jenna Ortega, who maybe could be a star. We talked about this a couple weeks ago with Anya Taylor-Joy, right? Love her. She's one of the best out there. But I think Kurgan said, "Oh, get a big star." I mean, they're like, is she a big star when she's had a few movies kind of, not flop but underperform? Where Jenna Ortega might be an actual big star, right? They have all these things that could just be a dose of nostalgia. But still, I would never thought 110. Which, if it hits that, that's perfect. Like, that's very impressive. It could do more than that because lately in the July, August months, they've been hitting above expectations. And that's where it was. May and June was box office is fucked. We're so screwed. Streaming ruined that. The strikes ruined that. COVID hurt that. We're so fucked. We're not going to get back to where we are. And that made a lot of people, even including myself, go, okay, what is going to be a hit? Because something like Fall Guy, disappointing. I didn't think it was going to be like $1 billion movie, 500 or whatever, but like, I would have expected it to triple its budget at least, which I think it was like maybe it was 200. So I guess triple would be 600. So like, let me just find out here. But the Fall Guy, I didn't love it, but most people I think it's a good movie. You have the stars from the 2 biggest movies last year, Barbenheimer. Yeah, $125 million budget. So like what? Let's do, I'm tired, so I'm not doing the quick math here. So that would have been a 375. To me, would have thought that movie could clear 400 million, make all the money back, plus marketing, but then box office, 180. And that's where in May and June, there's some things like Planet of the Apes did well. I don't think it did I think it's like the second highest in the reboots, but still like pretty good. But then there was If did like fine. Furiosa, that crashed and burned. Not crashed and burned, but like did not do well. I guess it was really because Bad Boys did well. Was there another one in June? Inside Out. So maybe it was just the beginning. Was there anything else in March too? Like even that springtime era there was something. Challengers. Abigail, yeah, that disappointed. I think Civil War did good. So I think it was just that earliness of those months where, it's not doing well. And plus we had some stuff like Flash last year kind of suck and at the box office at least, right? And then not do well. But now I think it's just we're back to, for me, the Wild Wild West. I used to pride myself on my box office predictions, but stuff like Twisters, that came out, went above expectations. It sucks for them that it came out the week before Deadpool and Wolverine because I think they really could roll that train a lot more out, but they had to lose screens and people just want to see that movie. But still, it went above expectations. And even then, it's not like one of the biggest films of the year, but better than I thought it was going to do because I thought it was going to eat shit. And there's times where movies like The Crow come out and Borderlands where I go, that's going to eat shit. And they did, right? So that's the thing where I feel still confident on some things, but it's been a weird year. And now, for more than ever, I don't know what people are going to go see. Something like Twisters opening me, that surprised me. Beetlejuice, that surprised me. Where something like The Flash last year just completely ate shit. Who knows why, but just ate shit, right? And I would have thought that could be big. That could be possibly $1 billion movie, right? And then June you come out. Luckily, Inside Out 2, like Aaron's saying here, made $1.6 billion, becoming the biggest anime movie of all time, surpassing, which they technically count, like the live action CG Lion King, but I wouldn't count that, but I get why they have it there. But no, I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought, okay, it's going to do well. I don't know if I would have thought $1 billion, but I thought 700 plus, like for sure, and that would have been a success for it. But that just shows, I guess, a lot of people grew with that story and they wanted to experience more of. I think it's a timely character for a lot of people, and it's just something that everybody can get on board with, right? Emotions. And for a while, there wasn't many kids movies. And same thing, Despicable Me 4 just hit 900 million. Might not hit the usual billion it always does, but that's really impressive. Deadpool, Wolverine. So obviously Fall Guy, a big loser. Furiosa, a big loser. But that's stuff where it's like, same thing. Maybe it's just people didn't want to prequel that character. Anya Taylor-Joy maybe isn't a star. Fury Road, not even the biggest success movie, right? It's like it did well, but it's a lower like I think it's like 3 something, right? Let's pull it up. Like I don't even think it's 400 or it could be, but it's just right under there. Let's see. Fury Road box office. Yeah, 380 million. That's what I remember is just under 400 million. It's not like a splash hit, and those are like expensive movies because a lot of practical stuff. So there were some bigger ones, but I think the audience is just going to go to things that they enjoy and have a passion to see, and it's hard to guess what that may be. Like look at that Blake Lively movie that came out, right? What is it called? Once again, all that controversy. It Ends With Us, right? There's a movie. Sony bugs the shit at me. Other than their Spider-Man movies, they're like so smart with their decisions, their budgets, everything like that. Like that movie costs, I can't remember what. Let's search this up again, right? I think it's like an 80 million or something. With us, let's see. It's some cheap. Let's see. Wikipedia is like just gonna bring up the book. Okay, 2000 film. Okay, so let's see. But oh my god, even lower. Budget 25 million. Box office 285 million. That is a huge, huge hit. It made 11 times worth its budget back. That's impressive. Who knows if it gets a sequel? Because people say there's scuttlebutt going on there about having to work together with the actress, director. You guys know it all. I don't need to explain that to you, right? But still, 11 times the budget? That is very impressive. So the box office is not dead. Not everything's going to hit. Not everything's going to succeed. But I still think there's things like a Despicable Me, like a Deadpool and Wolverine 4, like an Inside Out, probably like a Joker coming up, that can revive the box office. And if you have enough good movies in there, people will come to see it. Of course, there's going to be good movies that are going to drop and stop and, just be missed and bomb. But it's always been that way. And I think it's back to where, okay, it might be harder. We're not living that age where you can just crank out $1 billion movie guaranteed. But it still can happen. And yeah, anyone but you was also Sony. Yeah, it was. They make these movies cheap. They get likable stars because whatever you want to say about Blake Lively, she has a fan base that likes her, and they pump them out. So even then, if It Ends With Us, we only made 50 million. It's like, well, it's not a big loss because it makes back its production budget, maybe in marketing, and then it gets going to streamer, right? So they've been very smart with those ones. I wish they one day do that with the Spider-Man movies. That would be great if they could get on bandwagon and make that something. But the live action one specifically, of course, but the box office, lots of big winners here. Like when we go down, we talked about the animated ones. We talked about It Ends With Us. Longlegs, fucking one of the biggest independent movies of, I think, all time, definitely of the year. Like fantastic, immaculate marketing campaign. I've said this before. The people that marketed that movie, trailers, everything, teasers, they need a raise, or someone needs to hire them and be like, hey, can you market our movie? Obviously, your movie still needs the good and have some sort of intrigue, but they market the shit out of that to the point where I feel like many people are like, oh, I really like the trailers and I didn't love the movie as much. But then you get into Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously a big hit. Harold and the Purple Crayon. There's a big loser. It's like I can't remember the budget. It's like a 40 million or something, but still only made like 23. So not good. Zachary Levi. My kids wanted to see it, but I was like, it's already at a theater, so sorry you're not gonna. But Zachary Levi, not someone you can put your name on there. Borderlands, The Crow. Ain't shit, right? Sorry. Ain't shit. So that's why it shows we just had a bunch of movies. I think Trapped did like all right? Cuckoo still didn't do the greatest. Wasn't surprised about that just because it looks like a very, very odd movie, but that's just the case. Alien Romulus is going to be the second best Alien of all time. I think it's closing out on 400, somewhere in there. I'm doing a lot of stats looking right here. Romulus. Let's see. Wikipedia, go check out our Alien review, which I think I can't remember. I don't know if it's did very well, our Alien review. I was very surprised how well it did. Okay, no, I'm wrong. So it's rounding out more on 300 million, but still $80 million budget for a movie they thought was going to go to Hulu. And this was the case I didn't talk about as well, too. Twisters was like this. I think Longlegs was like a little bit. What was the Alien Romulus was like this. There and the Deadpool Wolverine. There's multiple movies that was reverse of the tracking coming out and it doing like 20 million more, 20 to 30 million more. And that's good. Even if you're being, a little conservative, it's better to be more than, hey, we're tracking at 30 and then the Fall Guy comes out at like 24. You're like, oh, what happened there? It continues to drop and it looks good. That narrative starts, right? Not that the GA cares, but also if it just leaves theaters, they're going to have less chance to see it. And I've always said, I get it that people say, well, they put a movie out and it bombs. You may as well just get a VOD and make that money. But to me, that just still trains people like, oh, if it's going to bomb, I'm just going to sit back and wait for it to get home. You can still wait some months and maybe make that money. I get marketing just happened, but I digress. That's up for them to decide. And lots of stuff coming in the fall. So I think it just shows that from the beginning of summer and the end of summer, we had massive hits and we had some massive bombs. And that's just the way it's going to be. People are going to have to, more pocket pinch, but we've seen they do a pretty good job of that still if it's something they want to see. At the end of the day, it just has to be like they want to go see it. They want to go pay their hard-earned money. They want to go get a ticket to see this. And even if it's for a second time, they value their time versus, okay, I'm going to go see The Crow or Borderlands. I think that people too, I think trailers have always been important, but I feel like there's been a lot of Crows and Borderlands to me. Those were not good trailers. And I think that has a lot to do with the GA. We'll see how stuff like Speak to No Evil does when there's like 10 million trailers apparently. But it's been an interesting summer, but I think it's taught me that it's pretty much the way it used to be to a lower degree as far as success. And you just never know what's going to massively hit and you never know what's going to massively bomb. Even though I would have said don't do The Crow. I would definitely said don't do Borderlands. But even then, Borderlands I could see, popular franchise. But even then, there's way other movies I would have done before we get to a Borderlands situation. In the gaming sphere, that's much lower on the list. I get it that Take-Two's big. Oh, give it a chance. But as a viewer, I don't need to. And there's still stuff like fucking Megalopolis that's projected like a 44 to 5 million opening weekend. It's supposed to flop. And that's where, again, I think that's something where obviously he played his own money, Coppola, so it's fine. But people look at the movie like, what is this? And it might be too weird, right? And that's where for too weird that movie to too big of a budget, that might be tough. I don't think I'm going to see it. I think I'll see it in a way where I don't have to pay for it when it's on streaming or something like that, or if someone gets a copy. Because I'm with the people where like Coppola just didn't want this to be didn't want this to be a woke movie, so I hired a bunch of canceled people. It's like, all right, buddy, you've made it that I don't want to give you any of my money because some of the people, even if they're not canceled, it's just the way he goes about that stuff and just trying to be super edgy. So it's like, okay. Don't think I need to support you there. And I think there's a lot of people that will go, okay, we spent a lot of the summer. We're back to school. We're doing things. And then we know there's a lot of movies coming out in the summer or in September. Really hope The Wild Robot does really well, right? So we'll see what happens in the next little bit here. We'll talk about more of the box office, but it's been nice to see how well it has done when the summer was like doom and gloom and like we're fucked. Movies are going to only be the big ones, and then we're going back to just streaming. They're going to be opera houses yet, but that's not the case right now, So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else in the thing. I don't know what Night Pitch is going to do. We'll talk about it in the future on other newscasts, but yeah, no, I think that's about it for the box office for winners and losers. I guess I had it on the list. It's not a loser for box office, but just for a movie franchise in general, Rebel Moon. Yikes, that experiment sure didn't work. And I think that's something that people have talked about. We talked about this many times in the vodka stream because there are people that thought it was a good idea. The idea of, well, you could put this out and then it's double dipping because other people are coming in. But I agreed with Ben from Real Anarchy. He's been our trivia streamers before, great guy. Me and him, I think, had similar concerns of, well, what if you watch that first one and it doesn't make you interested in more? And that's what happened to me. I think he's seen it. I think he said there's better. I've heard a mix of better to waste of time to, X, Y, and Z. But the idea that the rumor is Rebel Moon 3 is not happening and then the Army Universe thing's dead, that's one thing. With that, Acolyte, companies. I know people go, oh, they're $1 billion. They make this money in minutes. I get it, but they look at it as a spreadsheet and they look at it. How can I not have to worry about finding people I really, really like or my bottom line going away? They take our bottom line away first, right? And it sucks, but that's what they kind of have to do, is watch after themselves and cut the cords and cut the shows, cut the movies in production, whatever it may be, to help out with. And that's with Rebel Moon. It's like, it's unfortunate. I didn't love those Army movies. I do like that he's talking about making a smaller one. I think he's probably talking about that just because, like, might not be able to get the budget from somebody else. But I said that after BVS or after Justice League, that he should go do just a small character-based thing, something John Wickian in a way, even if you want to do something action with some budget, you know, but not obviously John Wick. But I'm looking forward to see what he does next. But it is curious that it, like I said, I didn't love it, but it sucks for people that did really, really like the Army movies, because though there's a lot of them that speak highly of them, especially at least the Zack Snyder one, and the fact that those might be gone, that's like a big loser. So that shows too, same thing. Just because you're on streaming, don't mean you're safe. People still need to come out. People still need to get you in the top 10. But there you go. Little mini episode for Trash Told You. Like I said, I don't think I'll be back this month as a solo episode, but we'll probably do a newscast, lots of other things. So thank you very much for listening to this. And I promise when you hear from next, it'll not be boring.